Well, hello. We started off a year ago, our very first interview. And the whole idea is to really talk about the relationships that architects and our clients and the people that we work with. We had this incredible project, and we had created a wonderful relationship and experiences. And it just sort of gave us the idea of, hey, let's express this a little bit differently, right?
Well, that's a huge honor.
What's an honor now is that we are sitting here rather than just talking, but we are doing a video because of how special I think this project is and how our experience has gone. So welcome, Dr. Sidney Turner.
Thank you.
Thank you again for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I feel like we're practically family after building a center like this and during a pandemic and with hurricanes.
Yeah.
It's been since 2019, but it really, when you go through stuff like that level of trauma together as a group, I feel like you really develop like a family bond along the way. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, us too. And it has been a fun, like I said, but just enjoyable. I mean, to even go through some of the hurdles and go through some of the challenges and come out feeling like, okay, it was still enjoyable is great.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
We're now sitting in the living room. How do you feel?
Aw is the best word I can use to describe it. I mean, it's really amazing to have this kernel of an idea and then to work together collaboratively to really blossom this entire garden that we have here of buildings that are really helping to heal our community. So gratitude, awe are the best words I can use to describe.
And, and we've said this, and I've said this before. Our job as architects is to create something not for ourselves, or even potentially not for the owner sometimes, but for the people that it's going to serve, right? And I think I think we have achieved that here, and I think that's pretty amazing. Just for a purpose in our lives as architects, that's about as good as it gets.
Totally. Same for me.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've gone through this, what was the best thing about this whole experience?
I think the best thing about the entire experience is you always hear these horror stories about builders and architects and designers and how people are fighting the whole time, even under like perfect conditions, right? But we went through this building process during like a very historical moment, meaning a global pandemic that we haven't seen in over 100 years. And, we had a hurricane hit us right before our grand opening and did some, significant damage around the retreat. And I have to say, and all the ripple effects that all of those things cause, from supply chain issues to permitting issues to whatever. But I think what I'm happiest about is that we work together as a team. And it's really easy in times like this to have circumstances like that divide us. And in fact, I feel like it brought us all closer together. And we had a really good, working relationship as a team together.
No, we did. And we've said that from day one, that sort of was that was the goal, I think. I think that's how you set it up from the beginning in terms of the contractor and us, and we all really worked together. So I agree. And it's what, again, a project should be. Everyone should have that experience, every project, any development.
And not just us working together as a team, as a construction team, but also us working together as a team with the community and getting community feedback. And then you being open to having that community feedback, because sometimes that wasn't easy to make those changes that the community was offering us. So it was really a very collaborative project.
And it's often easy to lose sight as you're going through all of those things, and it keeps throwing things at you, whether it's a pandemic or a hurricane or whatever. It's easy to go off track and go, it would just be easier if I didn't deal with everybody else, right? And I just came here and did my thing and you did your thing. And all of us stayed true to that purpose, right? So I agree. I think that is a great thing. So what was the worst part? I think I know your answer to this.
I mean, I definitely, the worst part was all of the barriers that we faced building in. I don't know if you've ever had a construction project like this, but I mean, there were a lot of unusual barriers that we faced from everybody I've heard from, engineers to contractors have all said that there's been unusual circumstances that are not typically part of a project. And I think those were caused from the circumstances we are experiencing in our world.
Yeah.
That we had no control over.
No. So more specific, I thought you were going to say permitting.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, permitting
was
a big issue, but I think that was related to the pandemic. So I really see the pandemic as the source of the issue and the hurricane, and less so the permitting itself.
Right. No, you're right. And none of us could have predicted that, obviously. And it's something that we had to keep sort of moving forward on and figuring it out. So, all right. So now that we're here, right, we're in the living room of the main residence. How has people have been able to walk in now, right? The community, donors, patrons, people have been able to now see it versus when we were talking, it was just talk, right? And it was just a vision and an idea and design, and we went through it. Now that people have been able to come in and see it, how has the community reacted or, had ideas, or have you changed anything along the way as you've gotten more input? How has that impacted the final result?
I'm really glad you asked that. So since we have moved in, which hasn't been that long, but since we've been in here, we've hosted a number of programs here. And I specifically have hosted a number of programs here. And I've had consistent feedback from our participants in our program that from the second they drive into the gate, they feel like they're safe. And when they walk around the building, they feel like they're safe. They feel like they're home. And that's exactly what we wanted.
Which is exactly where we started.
I know. So it makes me want to cry every time I hear that, because I think, oh my gosh, we did it. Because, you have this concept that you want to create, right? Like safety. But what does that tangibly mean? And how do you tangibly create that? And from what I'm hearing from our participants, we did it. I mean, of course, there's going to be some people that don't feel that way, but I have not gotten any feedback that people did not feel safe and feel like they're coming home here. So that, I mean, to me.
No, and look, and that has, that goes all the way to just the decision to raise the buildings, right? Which people, even when they're driving up, they can see that. And that gives them a sense of safety, right? Or of protection that, okay, I'm not going into something that's on ground level that other people can access, even if it's a mental thing, right? And I mean, that was a decision that we went back and forth on, and we really discussed it a lot. And went back, and I think that those types of decisions through the process have succeeded. Like you said, it's been great to see and hear.
So it's not an uncommon reaction, even if we bring in a donor, for example, that they will walk in the doors, break into tears, and start telling me their story. So they feel safe because the second they walk in, they tell you what they've been through and they feel comfortable. And oftentimes they say, I've never told anybody this story before. And I say, come sit and have a chat. Let's talk. And that's what we created here. It's really cool.
It is. I mean, there've been moments where I have had, where I've held back. I don't want to say held back tears, but I've held back tears because.
Or cried. I've seen you cry a tear too. Don't tell them the truth.
I am a crier. I am absolutely a crier. I know that about myself. And this is why I keep saying that this project is a little different than everyone else or every other project that we've gone through, in that there is just something about being able to work on a project that has an impact beyond just the sort of expected impact, right, of a restaurant, right? Restaurants, we design a lot of, okay, great, people come and the revenues go up and that's great. But this was just different. And when it impacts, when you hear things like that people for themselves get better, and for their own trauma or experiences can come to a place that, just helps their lives. I don't know, as an architect, and this, I'm not even trying to sound cliche that our goal is to make the world a better place. It's not about that as much as it's about being able to work on a project that you can walk away knowing that even that you've touched at least just one person, right? And that person's life has become better for it. That is pretty amazing. I just don't know how else to say it. It is weird. And I don't know. And we're lucky enough to have had this opportunity to do it. And you've had the vision from day one to do it. But for both you and I, it's just, we had no idea sort of how this was going to end up, right? No. I mean, and again, we're here we are, we're sitting in this living room and we just didn't know. We didn't know from day one how exactly it was going to manifest itself. And here we are, and it's just, you can't get any better. You honestly cannot get any better in terms of a project as an architect, as an owner or founder, and seeing it come to fruition. It just, I don't know.
And the fact that we don't want to kill each other after the end of this. I mean, no, but I mean, that says something. Because, when you watch people go through building processes, they often do, can be controversial and can be combative. And so I'm grateful for that.
I think that's a testament to yours and my personality though also. Like, we didn't go into it thinking that, and we went into it, I think, as open-minded as we could, and we both were, and it worked.
And we were a team. We worked together instead of seeing ourselves as adversaries.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to, again, put you on the spot a little bit. What are your 3 or 4 or however many you want to give me moments or architectural elements or spaces in this building or in the whole campus, actually, because it's actually a campus of sort of 4 different buildings, 3 buildings that are attached with a canopy, and one we call it the barn or the community center, and we can talk about that maybe a little bit later. But it's a pretty expansive little campus in a way. And there are a lot of moments, and it was actually designed that way. It was meant to have a lot of experiences because that's part of the mission in a way, is to give people chances to have different experiences based on their own trauma or own experiences that they've had, to either get away from that or to have an opportunity for something new or whatever. What are your 3 top?
Oh gosh, that's a hard question. Well, I think definitely if we were to go outside and be around all the wraparound porches that are around the building. So we know for trauma, one of the biggest helps that we can do is go outside in nature. It helps us regulate our nervous systems. So we knew from the beginning that nature was absolutely critical to what we do here. So we incorporated that in the entire design. And so the wraparound porches that go between the buildings and the rocking chairs outside, which are also soothing for the nervous system too, just really create this space that's like, I don't know, you're in like a little safe little bubble here. And I really love that. And what I love about specifically the outdoor spaces is that all the beams and everything are exposed. And we've talked about this before, that was intentional. We wanted to create the beams and have all the screws showing because we really want people to feel welcome to show up here authentically just as they are. No need to cover or hide or put on a facade of who you're trying to be. You're welcome here just as you are. And so I thought that was like beautifully done, a beautiful representation of here. I don't know if you have anything.
Very deliberate. Those were very deliberate, right? Yeah. I mean, that was a real design choice from day one, to be as authentic and to be as honest and to be as exposing in a way, right? To give people that opportunity to feel comfortable to do that themselves. So that was part of the design. All right, well, those are 2.
Well, yeah, that's 1.
Oh, that's 1.
I see that.
Gotcha.
I see that as
that's
1.
The outside. Great.
Yeah, that's the outside. In terms of the inside, the living room and the kitchen here, I mean, you can see it in the shot here. It's just unbelievable. And we did an art competition and had artwork hung up here from community members that have been impacted by trauma. And so it just creates a wonderful space that just feels very warm, welcoming, the beams on the ceiling. I mean, we spent a lot of time. The placement of the windows, how each placement is like a picture of the outdoors. And I just love that. It's like a living picture that changes every day. And every time you look out that window, you might see something different the next day.
We spent how much time on those two windows in particular, right?
Yes.
And how to treat that fireplace.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the whole, our goal from day one was always to connect what's going on inside the building to what was going on outside, right?
Yes.
And to have the environment be part of the experience that people are going. And I mean, you chose this 85 acres of conservation land to put this, to house this building on. And that in itself gave us sort of the impetus to go, okay, how do we really maximize that opportunity? And as wherever you are in the buildings, even within the rooms themselves, there are windows located and specific design decisions that give people that opportunity to see. They always know where they are, which was part of the mission too, or part of the concern, let's say, from the beginning as to how do you create a safe space. And if you always know where you are, that's obviously a safe feeling. And that was part of the idea behind those windows or behind everything as to where, how do we create that constantly throughout the entire project?
Exactly. Lastly, but not least, is our community center, which we call the Gathering Place, which is named after a dear friend of mine, Jim Roque, who passed away during the project of the design. And that space is just truly remarkable. The sound barriers that you put in that room and the wraparound wood, you literally feel like you're being wrapped in a hug when you walk in that room. And I've had so many people say that, and that you're in a safe little cocoon when you're in there because of all of the sound reinforcement that's happened there. So, and I mean, I want to cry because that space is named after Jim, and Jim was like known for being the world's best hugger. So it just like so serendipitously worked out that way, because I had no idea it would end up feeling that way. Right. And people say that. I feel like I'm being wrapped in a hug.
That's great.
In this room.
And it's funny you say hug, because it sort of stems from hygge, right? And that was part of the concept behind the interiors of everything. And that space in particular really does embrace that concept. Well, why don't we take a little walk?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Check everything out. Cool. All right, so here we are in the dining room, which was not only a dining room, but also a commercial kitchen to house or to be able to cook for a lot of people, up to maybe 100 people at any time.
Yes.
But we really are here at one of your favorite moments, right? Which is the fireplace, but also the windows. And even as I'm standing here, again, we talked about how we were always bringing in the outside in, but as you stand here and you look around, you can always see the outside, no matter where you're at, which is great.
Yes. And the benefits, not everyone's a nature person in terms of wanting to sit outside. So the great thing about having all these window placements is we're bringing the nature inside so that anyone can access it at any point.
Right. No, it's great. And the idea really was to make this feel like your home.
Yes.
Right? I mean, everything from the furniture to the booths to the materials to the flooring. It really was about trying to make people feel like, or give people the sense of being at home and comfortable.
That's exactly our goal.
Yeah.
One of my favorite spots.
No, it's very, very cool.
Wow, Baron, look at the beams outside here. This space really just communicates authenticity, old Florida charm, and sitting around and having a cup of tea outside in a rocking chair to me.
No, and that was the goal. And everything from the furniture to, being able to sit in rockers versus chairs to even, and I've always, as you know, I've always liked this detail, that we set these railings back very deliberately so that people can actually sit on this side and have a moment and look out onto the lake or just be in their own world. And that was very deliberate versus normally you put them to the outside or against the edge. So everything really was thought through and And again, the honesty of what you see in the beams and the wood and the concrete and the steel. A matter of fact, if you notice, it's raining, and if you can listen, you can actually hear the rain.
The little pitter patter.
The little pitter patter. And that's because the metal is exposed, and it's meant to do that. It's meant to be really expressive of reality.
And that adds a nice charm.
Yeah. And it's just a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here we are at the community's gathering place.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And, it's meant to look like a barn.
It is.
Because one, of the environment, but also because there's something sort of cozy about being in a barn, right? And that's what we really wanted to design and have it come across as. So why don't we go inside and take a look inside?
Yes, I love this space. Every time I come in here, I want to sigh, just a big sigh of relief, because it is really like being wrapped in a hug.
Well, and that was the intent, honestly, because, actually, you sent us an image from the very beginning of this sort of, I think it was actually a Danish room.
Yes.
With all wood.
Yes.
And that was sort of the inspiration for this space. And then it became, okay, what are the different finishes and how do we design it? And that is what you got.
There's a lot built into this room, even down into the floors. There's actually padding in the floors so you can do exercise classes in here. There's soundproofing throughout the entire room.
Yep.
That really gives it that cocoon-like sensation when you're in here. And then obviously, of course, all the beautiful wood details around that really give it a warmth that you don't usually see in Florida a lot, which makes it unique.
Yep. And like you were saying, this could be used for yoga, could be used for dance, could be used for therapy, as we see with the chairs that were set up here.
Yeah, so we had it set up for a support group setting. Yep.
So that was really I don't know. This space has its real foundation here at this place, I think.
And this is actually my favorite place at the retreat center. I love this space.
Good. Well, I think this is a great place to end. And I thank you again. I really do. And it has been a wonderful experience. And I look forward to actually our relationship and our friendship going on forever.
Of course.
So I thank you again. And
it's not goodbye. It's I'll see you soon.
No. It's to the next podcast or to the next time. Thank you all for listening. And I hope you enjoyed it.